Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Sandy.
And this is the Italian American Stories podcast. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day to everyone.
So Mom and I are going to do a Mother's Day special today, kind of like what we did for Halloween and for Christmas, where we just pulled some articles about Italian mothers, being an Italian mother, being the son, being the daughter of an Italian mother. And they range everywhere from 1977, 2000, 1904. So,
well, it should be fun.
Yeah. Yep. Some of these articles are, obviously you can tell, like when we read them, tell the era that they were in. And some of them are really funny. And so hopefully you guys can relate to some of these little snippets about Italian mothers. So we are going to start with an article from the Detroit News, and it is dated May 8th, 1977. So this obviously came out around Mother's Day.
Right.
And it says, on being an Italian mother. And this article is written by Margherita Periano. And so this article, it made me giggle a couple of times because she's basically writing about her Italian mother and how she was raised. So it's pretty cute.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. All right, so it starts out, the bleakness and poverty of the Depression years posed no big traumatic problems to Italian mothers. Their psyches are embroidered with the words, where there's a will, there's a way. That's very true.
Yeah.
They mend, they hand down, they take out, they stretch, and they repair, and no matter what they cook, they have some leftovers to share. Italian mothers aren't exactly morbid, but their emotions do tend to seesaw from extreme sadness to unbounded joy.
Can relate to some of those.
Me too. Yeah. It's like, why am I sad and happy now? They relish the crying of professional mourners at wakes, and conversely, they bloom during the festivities and fuss of family reunions. Italian mothers take their responsibilities seriously and loud. They start early, lavishing love on their new babies with loud, reverberant kisses. Until I was 5 or 6, the whole neighborhood knew when I was being smacked.
Oh boy.
We lived love and punishment, I guess. We lived upstairs from my aunt, who also bussed children in high decibels. It was like being smooched in stereo by plumber's helper.
Not for sure what that means.
I'm not either.
A plunger?
It was like being smooched in stereo by plumbers. Oh, a plunger. Plumber's helper is a plunger. Oh, because when you're smooched, it's like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, that makes sense. You should see Mom and I. We both have our hands against our cheeks right now. And this next part I thought was kind of interesting. I'm not sure that I can relate to this. However, it could be a generation thing, but this is definitely Margarita's perspective. So Italian mothers used to want their little daughters to be Shirley Temples. She was the rage when I was a preschooler, and my mother was convinced I was her double. Shirley was fair, had blonde bouncy curls, a darling face, and dimples on her cheeks and knees. She tapped, danced, and knew the words to "Looky, looky, looky, here comes Cookie."
That's cute.
That is cute. I knew the words to "Looky, looky, looky, here comes Cookie" too. So my mother made me perform for my relatives, neighbors, the fruit peddler, the eggman, everyone. If one of them had been an agent, I might have made it to the Italian hour, but Shirley Temple wasn't in any danger. My mother came from Italy as a teenager and brought along her fears and superstitions. She was convinced, for instance, that the full moon made people loony. So on hot summer nights, when my sisters and I would sleep out on the upstairs porch to escape the heat of our stuffy flat, she made us cover our heads with cloths to protect our brains from the moon's rays.
That's so funny.
I know. I used to pin mine for fear it would slip off while I was sleeping and I would wake up a howling Italian werewolf. There is, I feel like, something to the full moon. Being a teacher, there are days where I'm like, what? Is it a full moon? I've said that before, like to my students.
Well, probably right, too.
And I feel like I've heard nurses and ER doctors talk about that, too. Oh, it must be a full moon. Maybe I've heard that on a show or something. But
strange happenings.
Yeah, like they get more visitors isn't the right word. More patients into the ER during that time. More craziness happening.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so then she goes on to say, her religion sometimes bordered on the superstitious too. We had to learn to sneeze saying Jesus and Mary. This was just in case we died suddenly and God would know we were Christians. My aunt sneezed, "Achoo!" And my mother was appalled. I guess she figured if my aunt died in the middle of a sneeze, she would go to some heathen limbo where Achoo was a well-known idol. We learned our prayers as soon as we learned to talk. My mother had more holy pictures and statues around the house than they have at Holy Family Church. Jesus, Mary, St. Joseph, and St. Anthony smiled down at us from every wall in every room. They were the biggies. Then came St. Lucy, St. Francis, St. Teresa, and a whole army of angels at the beck and call of our very own guardian angel, who never left our side. St. Anthony was and is a personal saint of Italians. Vigil lights were lit by his statue, flowers were put in jelly jars before his small altar, and love was showered on him. But let him refuse one request, and his well dried up. His statue was turned facing the wall. The candles were put away, and loud remarks were made in his presence, like, "Why don't you like me anymore, Anthony?" Or, "After all I've done for your poor, this is what I get?"
Huh. Yeah, I've never heard anything put like that.
I haven't either.
Like actually
turn the saint around?
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I've never heard of that either.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because she's worried about sneezing and saying, Jesus, like, don't want to cross that border, but I'm going to turn this saint around.
Right. Go stand in the corner.
Exactly. Yeah. You're in timeout right now, St. Anthony. Living upstairs from my aunt sort of blessed me with 2 Italian mothers. My aunt would buy goodies for me, kiss bruised knees, and listen to my horrid concertos I played for her on her player piano, always applauding loudly when finished and curtsying deeply. The English exchange between my mother and my aunt was confined to a few necessary expressions. Nice a day. Think o' you. How much of this? And my aunt would be seen at times chasing her sons with a wooden spoon raised in the air, yelling, "You summon a bitch." Italian mothers have a fetish for clean laundry. Wash days are hallowed and second only in ritual to Easter Sunday and solemn high mass. I can remember my mother hand grating a bar of P&J soap into the washing machine because she thought soap flakes were too sissy to do a real cleaning job.
Wow.
Is that Procter & Gamble? Okay. First, the clothes were washed in cold water, then rinsed. Then they were dipped in bulldog bluing. I have no idea what that is.
No clue.
Okay, so Mom and I just looked it up, and Mom was talking about how she's heard about like a bluing
in bleach of some sort. I've never seen it, but I must have read about it or something.
I've heard about it. Yeah. So I looked it up and I actually found where somebody is selling a 1920s bulldog bluing laundry. It's actually the bottle. It's pretty cool looking. And it says, make your clothes snow white with this 1920s bulldog blue concentrated laundry bluing product. So I think you were on the right track. It's like a brightener bleacher kind of thing.
Yeah. I wonder why they don't call it that anymore. It's just bleach, I think.
I wonder if bluing agent is something that's still found in bleach today.
Right.
Or maybe isn't there like, not fabric softener, but like a fabric brightener, like even for your clothes? That could be what it's turned into kind of today.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, there's so many products out
or
there.
It's hazardous and they stopped it.
That's true. It could be. We don't have lead paint anymore and asbestos, and maybe bluing product was not a great thing either. Okay, so we'll go back to the article. So first the clothes were washed in cold water, then rinsed, then they were dipped in bulldog bluing, and some were given a final rinse in perfumed starch my mother bought from a door-to-door salesman. We had our washing machine in the kitchen, and wash days filled the house with the aroma of strawn, soap, and bleach. Over the din of the wash cycle, my mother would pretend she was Lily Pons and could be heard warbling, which is singing, songs from Rigoletto and Carmen. If starch happened to spill over into the underwear, we moved stiffly until the next wash day. Okay, I have to figure out, do you know who Lily Pons is?
No.
I don't either. Let's see who Lily Pons is. Learning all sorts of things today on the podcast.
I forgot what year this was.
1977. And
wow.
She's writing this as an adult. So she was...
Oh, but she's speaking of...
when she was a child.
Right.
So it depends on how old she was in 1977. Okay, so Lily Pons was a French-American opera singer. So, okay, that's cool. Well, we know what bulldog bullying is, and we know who Lily Pons is now. So then she talks about Italian mothers and food.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Italian mothers equate food with everything. It is the panacea, which is like the cure for anything that ails you. So it says, if you're sad, eat. If you're bored, eat. If you're happy, celebrate and eat. Spaghetti was a staple because it was cheap and filled the stomach fast. We ate it every day of the week, fixed with vegetables because they too were inexpensive. It's actually pretty healthy.
Right.
Yeah. One day we had it with peas, one day with beans, one day with escarole, one day with cauliflower, but on Sundays we always had it with tomato sauce.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Sunday mornings, my mother upstairs and my aunt downstairs would start making their sauce early, right after 6:30 mass. The house would reek with the heady aroma of Italian cooking. We didn't have to carry garlic around our necks to ward off colds. We carried it inside and warmed our chests from the ribs out. Spaghetti sauce is made in as many different ways as there are Italian mothers in the world. That's true.
Yeah.
I like that.
Everybody has their own version.
Yep, every family, every mom, that kind of stuff. Its seasonings are measured by pinches, handfuls, dashes, and sprinkles. So if your hand is small or your fingers pudgy, your sauce will be different, right?
That's funny.
That is funny. Different measuring tools. So who cares if anyone knows how you made your sauce, right? They go to their graves with sauce recipes imprinted on their souls like Italian sacraments. Only God can make a tree, but he still depends on Italian mothers for a good spaghetti dinner.
Oh,
That's probably one of my, isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Today's Italian mothers may not have the desolation of the Depression to contend with, but they have carried over some of their upbringing. Our psyches were embroidered too. We budget and we let St. Anthony know when he's blown it. Perhaps we view things more open-mindedly. But I suppose down deep, we know we're just the latter-day senoras and that someday our children will laugh at our foibles. And we will probably laugh with them, knowing they will carry on the tradition.
that was a good story.
I know. I
Yeah,
really
that was
liked
fun.
it. Yeah, it was cute because you could tell like there was that love for her mother and for her women in her family.
Right.
But she was able to make light of some of the funny stuff.
Right.
And
Poor St. Anthony.
or St. Anthony.
Still in the corner.
They're a little mad at him. So now we're going to go all the way back to March 5th of 1916 and read an article from the Trenton Evening Times out of Trenton, New Jersey. And it's cool because it starts out with, perhaps the most interesting of all are the Italian babies. I'm like, yeah, we are the most interesting. That's right. They are chubby little olive skin mites with strapping black eyes, and they gurgle and smile just as blithy as those few children who were born in the more fortunate environment of West State Street or the suburbs. It's really cute other than the mites, unless mites had a different meaning in 1916.
Right.
Like, I always think of those as
Those
like those
little pests.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Maybe that
hey,
is what they call the kids.
that's true. They might have just
Little mite.
Yeah, could have had a different meaning back then. But perhaps, who knows, they are happier than the gold spoon in the mouth babies. Of course, they too would like all that the spoon brings: big rooms, scientific care with pure air, and sunny piazzas to sleep on until they get big enough to toddle on the green lawns. But then they would not have so many brothers and sisters to play with. Spoon babies never do, and often they don't have any brothers and sisters at all. And so then the next part of the article is the devoted Italian mother. The Italian mothers, however poor, are proud and devoted. They suffer every sacrifice for their little ones and try to have them as near as possible, like other babies they have seen on a car ride or digging dandelions in the outskirts of the cities. Shops do a good business in the Italian quarter. It is not an unusual sight to see a young Latin mother carrying through the streets an infant attired in the most modern American fashion. The lawn white coat, the fuzzy bonnet may be of the cheapest cotton material, but it is white and clean and in the same style as worn by the spoon in the mouth babies. Reporter says, although the Italian women are as subject to ills as any other, the care and burden of their large families do not seem to shorten the average life. They grow bent and wrinkled early, but live to do hard labor to old age. The men are all powerful and with almost inexhaustible endurance. It is the heritage of strength that helps the babies of the Italian colony to combat the adverse conditions which confront them at birth. This reporter ends that with a question mark. This is what makes me laugh. And I talked about this in the very first episode with Angelina Garamoni. These reporters can see the strength and the compassion and the love in Italian families, and they'll comment on that. Then they'll demean them, and then they'll compliment them, and then demean them. And it's all within like the same article. It's really interesting as the more I read these articles from the early 1900s, it's like there's this reverence for them, but they can't completely say it. So they're like, oh, well, they're really good at this, but horrible at this part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe being that way, they wouldn't feel like people aren't going to like them. Like, oh, so you're just taking the Italian side.
Yes, I think you're right, because
they were looked down at for so long.
For sure.
And so he's talking them up. But then he's like, but then, yeah, they are that way.
Exactly, because he doesn't want to lose his readers or have people complain about, how are you just lifting up these Italians? And so he'll lift them up a little bit, but then bring them right back down.
Right. That's the way I think.
No, I agree with you. I think you're right. So here we go. So here's the next part. Some of the Italian babies have little care even when they are a few weeks old, which is really funny to me because he literally just talks about
they have them with them
all the time. And then now he's like, but they're kind of neglected. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. He goes on to say, because the mother has work to do. She has heard that it is dangerous to her health and that of her baby to do hard physical work when baby is but a few days old. She scoffs at the idea as far as it concerns herself. But she loves the little one, so she delays a few days more. Then worry assails her, the worry of washing undone, of floors unscrubbed, of the husband eating cold meals when he should have hot macaroni with sauce over it and boiled fish, for he works hard all day with his shovel. So the mother gets up and plunges again into household drudgery, doing the best she can for the baby at the same time. While mother works, the baby sleeps, perhaps in a little crib. Isn't that every mother, even today?
Right.
Like, oh, baby's sleeping. I'm going to go run and do the dishes really quick, or I'm going to get some laundry done. And I don't know. It's just kind of funny. Nowhere is the theory of survival of the fittest as applicable as it is to the Italian colonies. But I think it is just a testament to our ancestors and how strong they were and how they got through coming to America and making a life for themselves and their children. So
yeah, I think that was well said.
So now we're going to go back even further to February 17th, 1890. And this is an article from the New York Herald. And I don't really know how to introduce this article, so I'm just going to read the headline and we'll go from there. The headline says, "An Italian mother's rage. She bought a revolver and tried to kill the man who attacked her child."
Oh.
That'll be interesting. Okay, so Andrea, which is Andrew, Cassano, an Italian living at number 31 Maspeth Avenue, will be arraigned before Justice Goatling in the Lee Avenue Police Court this morning on a charge of assault. His victim, Rosa Scala, aged 8 years old, is lying in critical condition at her home, number 35 Maspeth Avenue. Cassano was arrested on Saturday night. He was chased through the streets by the girl's mother, who leveled a loaded revolver at the fugitive and would have shot him dead had not the revolver been out of order.
The revolver out of order. Somebody took the sign off of it.
Yeah. This is out of order. Not working. Roundsman Williams of the Graham Avenue Police Station saw the woman with a crowd of people at her heels and joined in the chase. He soon had the woman and Cassano in charge. Let's just take a moment to picture this. This man is running. An Italian woman's got a revolver chasing him. And behind her is a crowd of people following.
Yeah.
The year 1890. If you could time travel back and see that, oh my gosh.
That would have been something to see.
She's got a little Assunta Capra in her.
Yeah, there you go.
At the station house, the woman declared that her child was dying. She said that Cassano had threatened to kill the little girl if she told her mother that she had been assaulted. The child was too frightened to speak of the matter, and not until Saturday afternoon, when she fainted, did the mother learn what had happened. Miss Scala put on a shawl and went direct to a gunsmith and bought the revolver. Then she went in quest of Cassano. Cassano was locked up on a charge of assault, and Miss Scala was locked up for carrying concealed weapons. Both were taken to court yesterday morning prior to their commitment to jail for examination today. So
well, I don't blame her.
I don't blame her either. And, it doesn't go into what kind of an assault it was, but it doesn't matter.
No, she's 8 years old.
She's 8 years old. So I'm actually going to research this and see if I can turn this into a full episode. I really thought this was a cool story.
That is.
Kind of figure out what happened to Rose. I don't even know the mother's first name, but it'll be cool. I'm going to research it and see if we can turn this into a full episode.
Right. And it would be interesting to know too, if all those people following, were they just waiting for a show or were they trying to help her?
Exactly. Yeah. Because, were they kind of like, yeah, let's go get him and we'll go with you to make sure that you can get him. Yeah. Who knows?
Or are they just waiting for her to
shoot him? Just shoot him. Okay. So now we're going to read an article article titled The Italian Bambino, and it's from the New York Daily Tribune, and it's dated August 11th, 1904. The Italian Bambino is the pride of his mother's heart. There are never so many children in the Italian family that another is unwelcome. Italians love children, not only their own, but children in general. For years, the New York Foundling Asylum has given infants during the first year of their lives into the care of Italian mothers who have lost their babies. The little foundling becomes the pet of the household. It is loved and doted and petted as if it were the own baby of the family. And the foster mother, surrounded by more of her own than she can raise and comfort, often weeps bitterly when she gives up the baby at the end of the year. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That they have the Italian mothers be the foster parents because they're so loving.
Right.
That'd be kind of a cool thing to research too. So we are going to finish the episode with an article from the Daily News in New York, and it's dated October 12th, 1980. And the title of the article is My Italian Mom. The subheading says, she doesn't go to consciousness raising meetings. She's not a household technician. She won't let Chef Boyardee in her kitchen, but she's my mom, and I think I'll keep her.
Oh, that's a nice statement.
I know, it's really cute, huh? And this article is written by Lorenzo Carcetera. So he starts the article by saying, one night late last month, the elders of my family decided that the time had come for me to take a wife. And this is 1980.
Wow.
After all, they determined, I was 25 years old with a good job and no disabling diseases. So get married, kid. The fact that at the moment I had no steady girlfriend did not faze them in the least. For the curious among you, the elders consisted of my mother, a close family friend, an aunt who corresponded with them directly from the central headquarters in southern Italy. So they are on a mission.
That's why I was shaking my head. Yep. The mom and the aunt, that's...
Yep. They're like, let's
and
get
the neighbor.
him. And the neighbor. They're like, let's get him married. Through a mouthful of pasta, I asked, where is this wife of mine going to come from? Simple, they answered almost in unison. Pompeii. Of course, I thought, where else? There is an orphanage in Pompeii run by the Good Sisters, to which my parents have donated enough money down through the years to have built a string of condominiums in Miami Beach. At this orphanage are hundreds of pretty, well-educated young women, all supposedly waiting patiently for the good Lord to provide them with a willing husband. It was, said the elders, the only place left in the world where a man can be truly sure of the woman he marries. Against logic like that, who was I to argue? Through the years, Americans have developed a romantic notion of what it must be like to have an Italian mother. They hear about the great food and the tender loving care, and they fall in love with the idea of being Italian. What they don't realize is that there's a lot more of being an Italian son than having a full stomach and clean socks. A lot more. This guy's funny.
Yeah, kind of shocks me, 1980, that they're going to ship a girl from Pompeii over.
I know, because 1980 isn't...
not that far back.
It's not that far back, I know. And, you know, we think of that happening in like 1900, 1800s. So he goes on to say, my mother is 58 years old and has been in this country 26 years and knows only 2 words of English. How much? During the war, she lost a husband, a son, and a brother. So I think he's talking about World War II here. She remarried and came to this country, not expecting the American dream, but a life of peace and tranquility, something she has not yet found. She is stubborn to the point of obstinance, says her rosary once a day, and never, never loses an argument. In order to live peacefully with this kind of woman, you have to adjust. You must accept the fact that while you may grow and change, she never will.
Yeah, that's a strong woman.
Yep, she knows what she wants. Italian fathers learn this the hard way. You realize from an early age that her laws are rigid and must be conformed with if you wish to keep your sanity. She is lord and master of her home, no matter what Papa may think. Still, for those who persist in dreams of Italian sonhood, here are some things you should know. Marriage. For an Italian mother, her son's marriage is both a happy and traumatic event. She is losing a son and gaining a daughter-in-law. But no matter how good, kind, or considerate both your mother and your wife may be, the chances are that they are on a collision course. Sooner or later, The fur will fly, and you are advised to remove yourself a safe distance. And then the next part he wants you to know about is religion. In my parents' bedroom, there is a statue of St. Anthony with a candle burning under it 24 hours a day. It was given to my mother by her mother-in-law and will someday be handed down to me. Surrounding St. Anthony is an all-star lineup of saints, ranging from Jude, the patron of lost causes, to John the Apostle. There are also statues of Jesus and a cross on my wall. To an Italian mother, there is nothing like a nun. Show one to my mother and she immediately donates money. Italian mothers are firm believers in the power of God and attend Mass not only on Sundays, but on holidays, anniversaries of deaths, weddings, you name it. When you add it all up, 1/3 of an Italian mother's life is spent in church or on her way to church. A few years ago, after 16 years of Catholic school training, from grammar school through college, I stopped going to Mass. I wanted to reevaluate my religion, examine it through reading and thought. I explained this to my mother, or at least I tried to. She told me that if I stopped going to Mass, I would never amount to anything, that a dark cloud of evil would always follow me. I laughed. 2 days later, I came down with the flu and was in bed for a week with a 102-degree temperature. 2 weeks later, I got into a terrible accident, destroying my new Volkswagen. I got the message. I went back to Mass. And the next thing he says that you should know about a mom, and I think this must really tie into who his mom was, is you should know about Perry Como. For some inexplicable reason, this ex-barber, so Perry Como must have been a barber, is something of a god to Italian mothers. For them, the man can do no wrong. My mother likes him because he is a devoted family man who never fails to sing Ave Maria for her on his Easter television specials. She has owned only 3 records in her entire life. The Best of Carlo Butti, a children's choir singing to Pope John, and Perry Como caroling 24 Christmas classics. It says a lot about my mother that she bought all 3 of these records before we could even afford a record player. That's cute. Yeah. So then he's going to go on and talk about just generalizations about mothers, about Italian mothers. These are generalizations that seem to fit all Italian mothers, especially mine. They are frugal. My mother has been known to walk 10 blocks out of her way to save 3 cents on a head of lettuce, and they especially hate to throw things away. There is a blanket in my mother's closet that was used to keep me warm when I was a baby. Now, 25 years later, she uses it to iron clothes on. If you laugh at this, she throws one of her pearls of wisdom at you, such as, save the apple for when you're thirsty. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
They are clean. They are forever washing clothes and hanging them out to dry. After dinner in my house, we all march like POWs to the bathroom to wash hands and face, or else. They are curious. Italian mothers are not used to television, not having had it in Italy. Consequently, after 5 minutes in front of the set, they go sound asleep. However, as if by magic, they wake up 5 minutes before the end of the movie, wanting to know everything that happened while they were sleeping. While you explain what happened, you missed the end of the movie. They are confident. My mother doesn't even know how to start a car, but the minute you put her in one to take her somewhere, you find yourself, Mom's already laughing. She knows where this is going. You find yourself sitting next to Mario Andretti. She tells you how fast to go, when to stop, what to watch out for, and where to turn. And every Italian mother I know gets car sick, usually 1 block before you reach your destination. They spoil their grandchildren. Italian mothers are so different than anyone else. They let their grandchildren get away with murder. Of course, my mother does tend to get carried away. Last summer, during an afternoon cookout, my brother slapped his youngest daughter, Sandra. Sorry, Mom. Next thing he knew, my mother was going after him with a broom handle. You might be asking yourself, if Italian mothers are so much trouble, why not just move out? That is easier said than done. Italian mothers will use any trick, any ruse to keep their sons at home. I have only thought, mind you, of moving out 4 times, and each time my mother has worked her tricks. They use guilt like Robert Duran uses a left hook. I don't know who that is. Do you?
A boxer.
A boxer. Oh, yeah, I assumed it was a boxer.
Roberto.
Roberto. Did I say Robert? Yeah, so Roberto Duran. This is really small print. They tell you that by moving out, you are nothing but an ungrateful, unloving son, that all the years of sacrifice were for nothing, that the reason they wake up racked with pain is because of all the clothes they have to wash, your clothes. Then they ask, who will cook? Who will clean? Are you turning into a bum? Meanwhile, your father is sneaking into your room and quietly unpacking your suitcase. Like, please don't make trouble.
That is so funny.
But of course, the main reason Italian sons are usually slow to leave home is that they like it there. They like it that their meals are always cooked and clothes are always clean. And deep down, maybe they just don't want to leave their moms. There's a lot more that goes into being an Italian son than what I have just mentioned. In fact, I have just skimmed the surface. There is so much more to tell, but I can't. I don't have time. I have to be in Pompeii in the morning.
Oh, man.
Oh, what a way to end that article.
Wedding bells are ringing.
Wedding bells are ringing. Oh, man. Maybe
That
he
was a
can
good one.
get married on Mother's Day. No, that would be terrible. Yeah, that was a pretty funny article. So, okay. Well, that was kind of a fun, different type of episode.
It was. They were all interesting and funny.
And funny, yep, all in their own little way. Okay, well, I think we'll close with that.
Everybody have a great and happy Mother's Day.
Yep, happy Mother's Day out there, and we hope you enjoyed listening to our Mother's Day special, and we hope you come back to listen to more stories about Italian Americans. See you next time.
See you next time.